All right, ladies and gentlemen, we were just talking about the Crazy Dave trilogy, but we are live with the like 110th, 109th or 10th Google Hangout FTC Roundtable Chat. With me and my esteemed colleagues, we have Adolfo of the Dead, we have Mr. Jason
Welcome.
Hoover, and we have Nathan, who is the newest member of the From Dust Till Con Network. We're going to get with him in a little bit and talk about what he's going to be bringing to the table, quote, no pun intended. Tonight's show, we're going to primarily work on just recapping what all last weekend was. I know a lot of you were there. A lot of our faithful listeners were there. Both of you.
As much of it as we can remember.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Man, I tell you, those weekends, they when you're there, it seems like they're forever, but when you're done, it's like, man, that just flew by. So, actually, I need to cut this, and let me get this going so we can actually broadcast this via Mixlr, too, so the people in the Mixlr chat can listen. Sorry, I forgot to click that. So we do have the faithful Mixlr listeners who can now listen to us that way, although they can't see
out
us.
of the fun.
So, anyways, let me ask you guys, what was your biggest highlights of the weekend? Dolfo?
You know what? It's one of those things, like, the Days of the Dead shows, it's hard for me to actually enjoy them. It's kind of like, it's like when you throw a party and you just need to make sure everything's going well, and you don't actually get to get drunk until after the party. That's sort of how Days of the Dead shows are for us. But I really liked the Iron Diamond show on Friday. I thought that was fucking awesome, and I really enjoyed doing the karaoke with Harry, where he joined me for Pantera's Walk, which fucking, I've wanted to do that one since he first started doing karaoke at our shows, and everybody always fucking gets to it before I get to it, and you don't want to do the same song twice. That's just fucking weak. So I told him ahead of time. I was like, dude, don't let anybody do Pantera. I'm doing Pantera this time, and I think it went off well. But other than that, just hearing all the great compliments we got on the show, all the great reviews, everybody having a good time, everybody actually really appreciating the networking aspect of the show, and that's something that I've really tried to push more and more at the last couple of days shows, where it's not just coming in to get autographs, it's not just coming in to fill up your posters with all sorts of names and stuff, but it's good to see people hanging out after hours, making new friends, talking to each other, checking out the films in the Jab Film Room. It was absolutely fucking packed all weekend long. Networking and stuff. Nathan was out there giving away his DVDs. I saw lots of other filmmakers, lots of other podcasters and media people doing the same stuff, just connecting with other people, networking, and that's sort of where I want to steer Days of the Dead going forward. 'Cause anybody can do a fucking autograph show, and pretty soon, even the coolest, rarest guests are gonna make the rounds and get around to every show. So that's really not something that is going to be unique to any one show. However, creating that vibe where people hang out, people make friends, people are comfortable, people have each other's back, where it's a fucking community and not just a fucking cash cow show or a donut shop. You make your selections, and you get the fuck out. That is not our style, and I'm glad to see people are starting to finally embrace it. People are starting to really get it.
Yeah, I definitely, there was a lot more than just, the usual go get your autographs and whatnot. Yeah, I agree. The Iron Diamond show was absolutely fantastic. The Burlesque show, I'm just overwhelmed with how good of a show they did. I mean, I knew that they were very dedicated to their show, and I had all the faith and confidence that it would be great. I didn't think it was going to be that great. I was just completely blown away. The video, now that it has hit Facebook, everybody's like, oh my God, I should have got a VIP, and that was definitely one of my personal highlight. That, and I like tits and ass. Go figure. So, Hoover, what was your favorite part of the show?
I think my favorite parts are always the entire show. It's the fact that it's better than the sum of its parts. You know what I mean? There's literally something for everyone there. If you are just an autograph junkie and that's what you want to do, you can do that. But if you want to go a little deeper and find people who can talk about Cannibal Holocaust with you, like that's a thing. You can find those people there too. Wherein you know Trey has his party, and then you have the toe tag party. You have the film screenings. You have it's such a cool experience, more than it is just a convention. I think a lot of conventions end when the show's over. You go get your autographs, you meet your people, you check out your vendors, you roll out. I think Days of the Dead is the only show that goes that full 48 hours. There's people who blast through Friday night and keep going into Saturday. You don't see that at a lot of shows.
Yeah, there was people that just almost in the same spots as when I left them Friday night, back at Saturday, and I'm like, dude, did you sleep? I didn't even bother asking because half the day they didn't do it. Really, do you got to do that right here, asshole cat? Nathan, what about you? What was your highlight of the weekend?
God, the whole weekend was crazy. I got to host my first panel, which was awesome.
And this was your first indie show too.
Yes,
right?
This is my first indie show. So this is actually the first con at all I've gotten to go to outside of Atlanta, and the atmosphere was really cool. I love the setup. It's got its own personality separate from Atlanta and I guess any of the other days shows. I'm guessing they all have their own distinct little thing. And drinking moonshine with everybody, that was cool.
Great moonshine, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, great moonshine. Thank you. Let me ask you something, Nathan. We have an Atlanta native in the house that could go ahead and maybe speak for the city itself. How was the Indy party compared to the Atlanta party? How does the Midwest get down compared to the South?
Man, honestly, I know Atlanta can party, and we got to show it, man. We got to show up Indy. Indy there was a few more people, I would say, than Atlanta, and the after hours scene was a little crazier. So Atlanta, we got to step it up, guys.
Well, an ambassador of the city of Atlanta has put Atlanta on notice. Atlanta, you need to step it up. You need to bring your A game. We're calling out the Peach State. We're going to be all up in you next year in February, and we want to see you guys up your game in comparison to the Midwest. I'm a Southern guy. I'm originally from Florida. I know Miami doesn't really count as the fucking South, but nevertheless, Atlanta, ball's in your court. It's on you.
Well, now that you're talking about other shows, that brings me up to a question. There was a post you did the other day to where you were kind of trying to feel out what people were looking for in the conventions. You were, asking, was it more so that people were looking for, a large quantity of autographs and stars and whatnot, or were you looking for quality versus more of the party, and then putting more emphasis, on the parties and whatnot? Can you tell me what were you actually trying to find out about that?
Well, we've been kind of talking about the things that we feel worked the best at the show. Obviously, the Iron Diamond thing went swimmingly. It was fantastic. And those guys are so far scheduled to be back in Chicago, so we're going to be doing that again. DJ Trace, the costume party and the costume contest was absolutely rock star. That huge room was jam-packed from front to back for the entire costume contest and for most of the costume party that went to about 2 in the morning. And it just seemed like the social atmosphere of the show is what everybody was talking about. Even though I thought we had a great guest list, I thought we had a very statement kind of guest list. I think it was one of those shows where we didn't go the obvious route. We didn't go with like the same, Walking Dead kind of shit. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but there hasn't been a show out there that's done a full Nightbreed reunion. There hasn't been a show that's done a complete Night of the Demons reunion. Another show tried to do it, broken up. It just, that doesn't make sense to me. There was a lot of first-time guests in the Midwest. There's a lot of, aspects of horror that we highlighted with this show that people just haven't done before. It wasn't a Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason, Walking Dead type show, which is what you see everywhere else. Now, that said, as cool as the guests were, I think that the best aspects of the show are after hours. It's the social aspect. It's people making friends. It's people having stuff to do. Because even the best, biggest show, we could give you 40 celebrities, and chances are on a Friday and half of a Saturday, you could probably get through everybody you want to meet. Even the ones with the longer lines, you know, you could go ahead and fill up your posters with everybody you want to meet, and then what are you doing? You know, maybe you're hanging out at the bar, maybe you're going back to your hotel room and watching some TV. I feel that for people to get the bang for their buck that they're really looking for when they get that weekend pass, when they get that VIP pass, we got to give you so much shit to do that you're probably going to miss half of it if you go to bed. And, you know, Jason Hoover's helped us in that regard with the 48-hour film festival. I mean, from the time the doors open to the time the doors close, we're hitting you with awesome film programming. You're going and seeing indie films that you're not going to see anywhere else. You're seeing things that you're not going to see anywhere else. I mean, we were just talking about Crazy Dave's mixtape, which fucking Nathan Hamilton is. You want to go ahead and say something, Nathan, so that the camera will hear your voice and.
Oh yeah. The Crazy Dave tape trilogy. You need to buy this. I caught it at what was it, Jason? 4 a.m. something like that on Saturday, and it absolutely changed my life. Everyone in that screening room ran out and ordered a copy. It's amazing. It was one of those screenings that people will say they were at for years if they weren't. It was life changing.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that, you know, after you have your 30-second meeting with the celebrity that you went to see, you know, we want to have those kinds of events. You know, we want to have the thing where, you know, you saw fucking a really cool movie at 4 in the morning with a room full of drunk people. I mean, I was walking by when they were doing the Time to Kill screening, and just as it let out, somebody ran out and said, "Holy shit, I got some free Hamm's beer and I got to see some titties. That was awesome." And, you know, it was that's what they were doing. They were there in the screening room. They were watching Time to Kill. Brian Williams was giving out free cans of beer, and people were just getting drunk and watching a cool flick and doing something together. You know, I think that's what conventions need more of. They need not only more events, more things to see, but more things to see with other horror fans. You know, anybody can go to an autograph show. Anybody can put one of those together. And like I said at the beginning of the show, at one point or another, even the rarest guests, even the biggest headliners are going to go around the circuit so many times that they're going to get played out until somebody finds somebody new, and then that person's going to go ahead and make the rounds and get played out. And eventually every city is going to have a convention that is going to have every guest you ever want to meet. But after that, what do you do? You know, and these things should be a celebration of horror. It should be a celebration of cinema. It should be a celebration of people who have mutual interests, common interests that they share, and you should be able to have a good time without going in and spending a dime on somebody's autograph or somebody's picture. If that's not your thing, I want you to still be able to buy a ticket and feel like you got your money's worth, whether it be because you sat into 6, 7, 8, 9 panels, or because you got 48 hours worth of film programming, or because you went to some crazy fucking parties, or whatever. You know, I don't think that a show should hang itself solely on guests. You know, we'll have great guests. We'll have that in spades, but I want to see more love given to the vendors. I want to see more love given to the indie film people. I want to see more love given to the after-hours events. I want it to be to where you don't have to come and spend any money outside of your admission ticket, and you're still going to have a good fucking time. And that's the direction that we're going to go in with future Days of the Dead shows. I mean, I think we have more programming than most conventions, probably the most programming of any convention, but I want to do more.
Oh, you definitely easily have that. I mean, when you go through and look at the post of 1 to 2 days after the show, you don't see people going, "Oh, it was great waiting in line, and I got to meet such and such." You know, and you get a little bit, but mostly it's, "Oh my God, did you see Iron Diamond rocking out? They were kicking ass. I couldn't believe they played that song." And they're talking about the Fisher Bodies. It's usually the after party that I see that a lot of people that's what brings the memories in. That's what they're going to remember. Yeah, they had their 15 minutes, that they, got to talk to, Star XXX, and that was cool, and that's a lot of people, that's what brings people in. And like I said, it's the stars that brought me in, it's the parties that keep me coming back, and that's what the memories are made of, getting drunk, drinking moonshine, watching a fucked up film. Yeah, I got to meet, a lot of cool people, but, that's the stories that you're going to end up telling your grandkids, not that you spent 10 minutes talking to Tawny Katane and looking at her boobs.
And when I go to these things, I kind of, I want to feel like I'm going on a vacation. I want to feel like You know, I'm getting my money's worth, and there's a reason for me to hang out 2 or 3 days. Because if I'm just going to go for an afternoon, get a bunch of autographs, and then come back to my regular life, I don't think that's an escape enough. I feel like I should be able to go and have these. For a lot of people, it is an escape. It is a vacation. It's probably the only vacation they take all year. You know, they take time off work to come to your show and get away from the normal bullshit that they have to endure, you know, Monday through Friday or 9 to 5 or whatever the fuck they do. And I want it to be, you know, where you could go and let your hair down and do stuff that you normally wouldn't do in the mundane, regular, ordinary world. You know, you could go and dress up as your favorite horror character and party after hours, or you could just go and have a couple of drinks with somebody like Doug Bradley or Bill Moseley, or you can go and catch a bunch of films that you never thought you would see screened before and discover some new things that excite you and that remind you why it was that you fell in love with horror movies to begin with. That's what a show should be. And, you know, yeah, you know, having a lot of cool celebrities and meeting your favorite horror stars and all that is a big part of that. But I don't think that only that is, you know, makes a convention worthwhile. I mean, you have to have cool vendors. You have to have cool film program. You have to have cool events. You have to have a reason why you can celebrate it with friends.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, and that's the big thing too that you hear so much, excuse me, about the convention is, you know, this is the time where, you know, my horror family gets to get together. You know, and it's, you know, we see, you know, the people that we see, you know, that we see it maybe 2 to 3 times a year, but they're like our best friends, you know, because we constantly interact. You know, and it's just one big party, and I don't think a lot of conventions definitely have realized that that's what makes a convention. You know, it's not just about, you know, getting the star and doing this, doing that, you know, having Jabs pictures, you know, and it's not like it's going to be, you know, you're playing Halloween and Halloween H2O and, oh, let's play Night of the Living Dead and that. Yeah, Hoover comes up with some fucked up shit. That's all I hear. Anytime somebody mentions this, anytime anybody mentions the film fest, it's like, man, that was some fucked up shit. And it's good,
you know,
though. It's not
curious.
just.
Speaking of, how many people were in there for a Roscoe on Saturday night? I'm curious.
When we started, or 45 seconds into it? Because when we started, about maybe 45 or 50. By 5 minutes into it, 7 or 8.
You know,
an hour into it, like
Like I was
3 people, like 3
telling Jason.
real special people.
Like I was telling him, I've seen it,
saw
and
the
so I pretty much
trailer.
went to watch people watch it. I watched people like walk in the door, look at the screen, turn right back around, and walk back out. It was great.
I saw the trailer
Shaking my
and
head.
I knew that that's probably way out of my league. That it's too much for me, but I'm glad that we showed it because somebody fucking got to see something they'd never seen before with that one. But yeah, you know,
that's
talking
the
about
thing
the
is,
event. I'm
it's
sorry.
not
go ahead.
only that it's extreme. It's not only that it's extreme. It's that it's almost unavailable at this point. You know, it's really hard to get a hold of. It's kind of become a legend. You know, I've always kind of kept that midnight, 2 a.m. spot for movies that are kind of bigger than they actually are, because when you have the Bunny Game that, you know, 100,000 people say they've seen, but like 10,000 people have actually seen, and, you know, a Roscoe and the August Underground trilogy back to back to back, I mean, they're not fun experiences. They're not supposed to be enjoyable. But, you know, they kind of are these things that live as myths. So I wanted to really bring those to people and give them a chance to see them. And, you know, the fact that some random person could just walk past the screening room at 3 a.m. and walk in on the August Underground's Mortem, that's a beautiful thing to me. You know, I think, you know, Forrest Gump has its place as a film, but I think extreme horror has a place as well. You know, I mean, being emotionally moved about it, that's an achievement. You know, not every sometimes movies are supposed to hurt.
You know,
Damn right.
somebody actually wrote me a very angry email, which made me very happy. I don't know who it was that was promoting their film this way, but they were ripping out a Bible and writing, like, see you at a certain time, 666. Who was that? Jason?
Nah, we probably lost him again. He's got that crappy,
Yes,
dramatic type internet, so.
Oh, Crossbear. That was Crossbear?
yeah, Crossbear.
No, that was
Yeah.
fucking awesome then, because somebody wrote me a very angry email that, you know, our show was desecrating Christianity by allowing somebody to promote their film by, you know, ripping a Bible up. And I was unaware of it until I got the email, but I read it, and I actually I shared it with Rick, and then Phil sent me this, and he was like, dude, this is the best thing I've read all day. And, you know, I was happy it happened at our show. Not that, you know, I have anything against the Bible or Christianity or anything like that, but, you know, I'm glad that somebody pushed the envelope where they took somebody to an emotional place that they probably haven't been in quite some time, where they were so fucking angry and so moved by something that they would write a 5-6 paragraph angry email expressing their extreme displeasure at whoever was doing that.
Speaking of writing on things, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Hoover, really.
You know, I didn't know about it ahead of time. I found out kind of the same way everyone else did, and someone was like, why is that dude ripping shit out of a Bible? And I was like, well, that's their choice as artists. You know, you also have the choice or to avoid their film, or, you know, but I felt like it wasn't something I should tell them to stop doing either. You know, I mean, we all have our personal beliefs and opinions, but I don't feel like it was offensive so much as, you know, he wasn't kind of preaching about Satan or how you're an asshole because you love religion. He was literally using it as paper, which in his mind is what it was.
And doing it for shock value, so you remembered it.
Sure, of course. But to him, which I asked him, he said, what's the difference between this and A Catcher in the Rye? And I said, I think you're right, it's a book. So, you know, I think he was free to kind of do his thing. Personally, I wouldn't kind of promote my movie that way, but also there's, you know, a little bit of, if you're going to accept and enjoy that kind of promotion, you're probably going to accept and enjoy that film. And if you're not going to, it's probably not the film for you. So it's kind of a good way of just up front saying, hey man, this movie is fucked up. If you're not down with that, don't come see it. You know?
And it totally makes sense in the context of the flick, too.
Yeah. I thought it was very brave, much in the sense like, you know, Orozco wouldn't be a film I would watch, but, you know, I'm glad that you showed it, because it's not about what I would watch. It's not about what Nathan would watch or what about one person would watch. You know, there's something for everybody, ranging from the mild to the absolutely fucked up if you stay around late enough. And, you know, the horror scene and the horror community is so varied that, I mean, you really do encompass all angles of it with the film programming, and I'm proud that Days of the Dead works with Jab Pictures on the film festival, because every single time you bring it, you know, you have such a variety of films that if you know, if there's not 3 or 4 or 5 films that you could dig on the weekend, there's something wrong with you, my man, because fuck, like, Hoover brings that shit. Hoover gives it to you. It's up to you to take and, you know, fucking discover your new favorite film, discover your new favorite artist. I mean, people bitch all the time about how played out mainstream horror is. Well, god damn it, Jason Hoover's here fucking spoon-feeding you a sampler platter of all the best shit that's out there. If you're not going to take it, that's on you, dude.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I heard so much stuff.
My favorite part is...
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Billy.
That's all, you know,
my favorite part is kind of like...
Shut up. Anytime I heard anything about the films that were being played, it was actually nothing negative. It was all about, man, I saw some it was either, you know, I saw something really fucked up, I saw something really cool, but nothing that was, you know, like, oh my god, that was, you know, but, you know, it seemed that a lot of people were just generally happy, you know, with what they seen, just because of it being different and whatnot. Not just your usual everyday stuff. You know, you didn't do a screener of, you know, Night of the Living Dead or someone's, you know, crappy remake. It was all high quality stuff, and it was stuff that you handpicked. So definitely, you know, that's one thing I think people appreciate, definitely. So
I've always said that's one of the main draws.
Yeah, I mean, I really do put a lot of thought into it.
That's saying it's one of the draws of Days of the Dead.
Yeah,
Involved in independent film. I always walk out of there with a huge stack of DVDs, and half of those movies I didn't know existed before I got there that weekend. And that's an incredible testament to the kind of support for underground film that Days of the Dead and Jab Pictures provides in these events.
Speaking too of really cool stuff that you come across is I actually managed to get this. Bill's currently looking for this right now because apparently the manager was supposed to sign 2 of them, and I ended up getting the one that went to Bill. But it has my name on it, so I'll be returning this soon. Bill's kind of
Bill actually just texted me about that. He wanted me to ask you where his Ouija.
Yeah, he just said it in the chat room there, so that's why I'm like, yeah, Bill, I will return it after I frame it real nice and show it in my house. Isn't that pretty, though? I can't understand a word she was saying in there, but it's really neat. It's signed by Tonic and Tane. Anybody want to buy it? So, yes, I will return it.
That's a gnarly thing to get signed.
Yeah, all right, so there we go.
Outside of the normal poster kind of thing.
Yeah. The manager came up and asked if you guys wanted one, and we're both like, yeah. And I said, I'll be over in a little bit. He's like, cool. I went over, she signed it to Bill and handed it to me, so thought it was mine. Go figure. Well, I think he's got 2 of them. He just wants more.
No, I don't want to take up any more of your guys' time in regards to talking Days of the Dead stuff. I'm glad that we got to put the show to bed. Indianapolis was a fantastic show. They each keep getting better. Each one we get, I think it's tighter, and the reviews get. The only bad thing I heard about the weekend was that Crossbear promo where somebody was ripping shit out of a Bible, and
if that's the only complaint you got, you're doing fine.
Right. Well, and it just seems like we have a good crew, we have a good family, we have good volunteers, we have good people that we work with, from Harry Bean to Scott Majeski to Jason Hoover to the Monsters Among You. And everybody else in between, and I feel like our traveling circus just gets bigger and tighter and badder. And LA's coming up in September. We're headed back to Chicago in November, and we're just taking over every fucking city one show at a time. Now, speaking of Chicago and LA, if I might maybe able to just drop a couple of plugs and maybe a couple of quick guest announcements before we turn it over to Mr. Nathan Hamilton, the son of Celluloid. Is that okay? Can we do that?
Yeah, I think we can squeeze those in.
All right. Let me. LA. We have that's kind of our big show where we go crazy and we book 30 guests a day, and we change up the rotation every day of the show, and we're going to be doing more of that. Now, I don't want to give away everything because we do need to save some stuff to be revealed between now and September. But a lot of people in LA have been asking for us to bring the Night of the Demons to LA, and we're going to be doing just that. We're going to be doing the Night of the Demons reunion as we did it in Days of the Dead Indianapolis, but we're also going to be adding a few more people that were not at the show that could not make it, and this will pretty much encompass every member of the cast that's currently living. We hope to go ahead and we're talking to Shout Factory about partnering up and maybe doing a special screening of the release of the film that they've got coming out, probably either at the show or just before the show with some of the cast. And I'm really excited to be bringing that reunion to LA because I thought it was one of the highlights of the indie show. It's a film that I think doesn't get enough love from the horror convention circuit. It's been highlighted once before, but never done to that great effect, never done with as much commitment. And I'm very excited that we're going to be bringing that to LA. And for those of you that are catching the show live, we're also going to be doing a special announcement on Monday for Days of Dead LA, and that's Barbara Steele, who is also going to be added to the roster. We've got plenty others. We've got about another 30, 40 guests that we still are going to be announcing for Days of Dead LA. That's just a little sample for you guys to take with you. And on to Chicago, we're going to be adding a few as well. For those that may have caught our flyer, you know that James Remar is coming to Chicago. It's going to be his first Midwest appearance. You know him from Dexter. You know him from the Warriors. Very, very excited to be doing James Remar's first ever Midwest appearance. And we are also adding some more guests to our Rocky Horror Picture Show reunion. We already have Barry Bostwick on the roster, but we're also going to be adding Patricia Quinn, who played Magenta, and Nell Campbell, who played Columbia in the film. So that's just a little bit of candy for the people that tune in to the From Dusk Till Con Radio Network. There's perks to catching this show. You're getting a little bit of a sneak peek before they hit Facebook. They're going to be hitting Facebook next week. Announcements also on events and all sorts of stuff coming to LA and coming to Chicago. But I think that these two shows coming up, I say it about every Days of the Dead show, but we get better with each one, and I can't express how fucking excited I am for this LA show and how fucking excited I am for this Chicago show. The LA show will be at a hotel this time, unlike the last time, which we did it in a convention center. And we all sort of agreed that we didn't like how that turned out. It didn't have that Days of the Dead feel where we're taking over a fucking building for the weekend and just like partying till, you know, from the time the sun comes up on Friday to the time it goes down on Sunday. We're going to be doing that in LA. We're going to be showing LA how the fuck we get down at Days of the Dead. In Chicago, once again, you know, the Schaumburg Marriott, they've been extremely accommodating to our fans. They pretty much let us have carte blanche over that hotel for the weekend, and God bless their hearts. They put up with us, and we're gonna really fucking test our relationship with them again this year. I'm sure of it. If you haven't been to the Chicago show and you can make it, probably, you know, that's probably my favorite hotel staff. I love the Wyndham. They always treat us nice, but that hotel staff at Chicago, they really just stand the fuck back and let us do what we do, and we go to all hours there. I mean, Harry B has taken over the lobby at 3 in the morning and done fucking karaoke and woken everybody up, and I'm surprised we haven't been arrested yet. I'm surprised nobody's been arrested at that show, but maybe we'll do it this year. Who knows?
I hope not. I hope it ain't me. Speaking of hotels, too, here's another exclusive for the From Dusk Till Con Network. I am currently in talks with, if anybody met Rick Tracy, hell of a nice guy. He takes care of the building for the Wyndham. We are hopefully going to be, they did bring Bofa the Horse back out for us. Bofa the Horse has been officially retired, but as everybody knows who's been to an indie show, that horse is pretty much a part of the family. I'm working diligently with him. I've been texting him back and forth all week, and he's actually working with us to permanently acquire Bofa. That heavy son of a bitch. So hopefully Bofa will become a part of the official Days of the Dead family, and he will be the traveling mascot. If you don't know who Bofa is, you have not lived yet, so you must go meet Bofa.
So yeah,
he's nuts.
I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. You know, I'm gonna let Nathan Hamilton have this last 30 minutes because I want to sit back and I want to watch his preview on his shows coming up. I've been a fan of Nathan since the first Atlanta show when he applied for press passes, or rather the second Atlanta show.
That was the first one.
You were at the first one too? Okay, all right.
Tree City.
Okay, so you were at, okay. You know, they all fucking, we've done 10 in 3 years. They all fucking melded together. But ever since, you know, I got turned on to Nathan with his Son of Celluloid column, and now he's got the show on YouTube, I've been a big fan. You know, it was one of those things that when we started the network, I was really bummed out that we didn't have a spot for him, and I'm actually very glad that we lost some of the dead weight and are able to now bring him in, and because he does really good stuff. I can honestly speak from, I'm not just hyping him, I'm not just pimping him out. I'm a fucking fan of Son of Celluloid, and to that end, I'm gonna let him go ahead and take over. I'm gonna sit back and just watch the feed as a fan.
Well, no, keep it coming. You can pimp me as long as you want.
Oh no, you know what? I'll let you go ahead and do the talking. So you do a better job than I can. But in any case, you know, daysofthedead.net. Come check us out. We got LA coming up. We got Chicago coming up. We'll be doing Culture Shock announcements pretty soon. Maybe I'll come back on to the show. We can talk about Culture Shock once we got some more stuff going on. But in any case, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Days of the Dead, or facebook.com/CultureShockCon. And with that, let me turn it over to Son of Celluloid. Thank you for having me, gentlemen. Thank you for letting me put a cap on Days of the Dead Indianapolis, another fantastic and successful show by the most exciting convention on the convention scene. And kudos to my partners Bill Philpott and Rick Lara for doing it alongside with me. And those two guys, you might see my face all the time, but those two guys put in just as much work, if not more than I do. And you should have them on the show as well, because they're both really cool cats. So, gentlemen, thank you for having me. Good night, and hit me with it, Nathan. See you later.
Later, man.
Be good, Dragon.
All right.
Nathan, you got the floor, man. Well, first of all, let's what time you're gonna be on Monday nights? Why don't you just go ahead and basically tell them what you're gonna do? Let's just do that. Go for it. It's all you, buddy.
Monday nights at 10 o'clock belong to me now on the From Dust Till Con Network. I'm going to be doing a show called, starting this week, which is tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. It's called Horror Business, where I'm going to bring you interviews with not the people you're normally going to hear from. I want, the people who cover horror, the people who bring you horror. I always say it's kind of the untold stories of the unsung heroes. The guy on my first one is Brad Slayton. He's the guy that got me into podcasting a while back, kind of paying it forward, bringing my mentor in. He's got great stories. We'll talk about how he got started and all that, talk a little shop, for the people who out there who may want to start a podcast. It's kind of a tutorial. But he's got stories about interviewing Glenn Danzig and Penn Jillette and Adam Green. He's interviewed everyone from Nightbreed, pretty much everyone you can think of. It's a really interesting interview. It's actually going to be a two-parter. The first part of the episode will be this coming Monday. I'm also going to talk about some of the cool shit I saw on the way to Indy and some spots you need to stop at next year if you're headed up there. And then next week, I'm going to be alternating two shows. The other one's called Missing Link Mixtape, where if you heard when I took over the network before and I played some tunes, you kind of know a little bit of what you're getting yourself into. But everything now is going to have a link that goes between it. And if you can correctly guess the link, email me. I will pick a name, and you'll win some kind of fabulous prize. I'm not 100% sure what it will be yet, but get you involved. A little more than just listening. You got to do a little detective work on this one. So I'm going to be alternating back and forth between Horror Business and Missing Link Mixtape Monday nights on the From Dust Till Con Network. Be there, man.
Well, and that's cool. That's one thing we definitely try to do a lot on this network is the interaction. Anybody can play music. Anybody can pre-program a Pandora station. I can sit here and pre-program 24 hours of music and walk away from it. That's one thing I really like about what I do is it's fun because there is the interaction. We all get to hang out. Whether it be 3 of us or 30 of us. We get to hang out, talk shit. What the hell? Like my show, The Cover's Blown. I'll get what the hell is this? And then oh my God, I can't believe somebody's covering this. And even listening to your show, there was quite a bit. I pride myself in having a very large repertoire of music, but there was a lot of stuff I hadn't heard, and I'm like, I gotta check that out. And there's, I went and got a whole bunch of new music too. So that's definitely one thing I love about what we do is the interaction. And with what your Horror Business show is doing too, I'm very excited about, just for the simple fact of, just like you said, anybody can interview the stars. We hear it 24/7. First, to get into depth with what we do, or of the people you're bringing in, is definitely a fresh outlook for it. A lot of people don't realize what goes into podcasting and stuff, and some of the best stories are the after hours, not the interview itself. It's like, after I got done with it, man, we were sitting there talking about taking shits on bitches' chests and whatnot. Right. I won't say which star that was. But anyways,
it's like when I was on Hoover's show. It was an hour-long show, but after that, we went on everything but talking about mushroom stories for an hour to having a long discussion about spicy Funyuns. Everything you can possibly imagine.
We ought to just do that, from now on. It's like, all right, here's our show. We'll do like 15 minutes of a normal show, and then it's just us sitting here bullshit.
We'll just roll.
I think me and Nathan
one of the reasons I picked those 4
hours that night.
Yeah. One of the reasons I pick the kind of people I'm planning to have on the show is because, a lot of times you'll hear an interview with, a director who's, got a huge career full of great movies, or an actor who, is kind of one of the faces of horror, and you'll think, there's no way I could contribute to the genre on that kind of a level. But the people I want to talk to are the people who are doing the kind of stuff that I can do, and you can do, and Jason can do, and everyone could do. That's just a pure passion fueling it, you know? And it might inspire people to go and do some kind of shit on their own, which that would be incredible. That's the whole thrust of the thing, man.
Yeah, it's funny because when I think about, you know, how far podcasting has become, you know, in even the last 5 years, you know, it started, you know, real big with, you know, radio shows started doing it, you know, especially for like morning shows, you know, and now pretty much anybody with a computer and a microphone can do it, and to bring the talent that some of that has brought out is definitely, you know, outstanding, because this is stuff that, you know, like me in the Midwest would not hear, you know, this guy in LA doing what he does, or you in Atlanta hearing your stuff. And I marvel sometimes at the way the world's come about to where you can receive so much information that easily. It's like, oh, you want this? Got it. So yeah. Wonderful age of Google.
and there's a lot of stuff out there that people are doing that people don't even think about. You know, it's like there's people in horror themed bands that are keeping whatever the horror music scene is in their city alive. There's people who run, you know, haunted houses and ghost tours and stuff like interactive horror entertainment, things like that. You know, the whole spectrum. I want to get all of it in there. Every corner of the horror business.
That would be really cool, doing some interviews for people who do the haunted attractions and whatnot. Yeah. Not so much, you know, the paranormal stuff, because everybody and their brother does that. Right. But, you know, talking to the people that put, you know, their blood, sweat, and tears into the you know, haunted houses. I worked with a guy when I was over at Firestone. He did a haunted house, and he said, "Oh, I've never made a dime off it." And he goes, "I lose $10,000 a year." Mm-hmm. You know, and he said, "But I love doing it." And
that's an industry that ranges from like people who build stuff in their house just to do for fun for the people in the neighborhood to something like, you know, something like Netherworld, where I work, where it's like a full-time business with a full-time staff that have been working all year on the show for this year. I mean, there's a whole spectrum all the way to the haunted hotel in Cave City, Kentucky, you know? From the smallest to the largest, everyone's got stories and everyone's working hard to bring horror to the masses.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like that guy that I was talking about. You know, he said I lose $10,000 a year. He goes, but I love doing it. You know, he loves. You know, he never made. He said, I've never even thought about making a dime. You know, and he does everything with, you know, volunteers. You know, buying things as dirt cheap as he can. Mm-hmm. You know, of course, you know, at the after Halloween sales, when Firestone changed their logos, they were blowing T-shirts out. And all they had was like a little bitty Firestone logo on them, and he bought them for like 10 cents a pop, and he bought like a gross of them. He's like, "Oh, I'll make new shirts with these. I'll silk screen right over that. Not a problem." So, you know, that was great. Yeah, the dedication for that was just outstanding with that. And, you know, actually the only way I found out about it was he also owned a hearse, and, you know, I was driving mine, and he's like, "You do anything with that?" I go, "Drive it." He's like, "Oh, and he said, "I have one too." And I'm like, "Oh," and then we started talking. He's like, "Yeah, you ever been to the haunted house in Anderson?" I said, "No. I'm not a big haunted house fan, the fake ones. I just don't. It's, you know, everybody's got their own clique. I get bored with them, I guess."
Well, I've been acting in haunts since I was 12. So I've got, you know, extensive experience. One of the things I dig about that whole, you know, interactive horror haunt thing is with movies moving more towards CGI, the real innovation and practical effects and makeup and stuff is really in that industry. It's like that's where, you know, people are really doing some cool stuff and taking the art form to another level now that movies are kind of, you know, moving away from that.
Yeah, and that's sad too, because I was just thinking about that, you know, just when you mentioned it, is the CGI stuff that comes out now. I mean, it's not that it's replacing it, or, you know, the live action stuff. Well, I mean, it is replacing it, but it's not like it's even making a good version of it. It's just, to me, it's Hollywood and filmmakers being lazy. You know, like one of the things me and Hoover talked about, you know, when he does movies, you know, he gets, you know, a bunch of people that have great scripts, but, you know, they're like, you know, "Oh man, I'll have this car crash into the house," and Hoover's got to ask him, "Well, do you have the car and do you have the house?" "Well, no." You know, you got to think about that. You know, when people are doing these independent movies, it's like, yeah, that'd make a great scene to have, you know, a cop car flying out of a house and crashing over here, and it's like, wait, that's got to be somebody's house. You got to have a fake cop car. Oh, yeah, that scene's not going to work. So they got to rewrite the whole thing. Actually, Hoover, I was going to ask you, what was I didn't get a chance to see it because I was too busy. What was how was the reception for the new Collective?
Good, and really strong, surprisingly. Yeah, you know what I mean? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I think there's just a little, you're just a little lagging a little bit there.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was strong. It really was. It was surprisingly strong. You know, I think with the collective, I always like to think, oh, people dig it and they support it, but I think I'm always worried. You know, I mean, we're up to the 7th volume now, so it, you know, kind of each one gets a little dicier, but each one gets a little bigger audience too. So fingers crossed it's worked this far. I guess I hope it keeps working. But yeah, there were a lot of people in there. There were probably 45 people in there, maybe 50. So it was really strong.
You can't beat that, definitely. You know, that's one thing I heard a lot about too. Is people can't wait to get their hands on the latest collective. You know, it's become to the point where I hear people collecting them all. You know, I've heard one guy saying wanted to trade with another guy. He's like, "Well, I got 2 3s or something like that." He's like, "You got this," and it's like they're getting their own trading game. So. It's like they're not rare Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I mean, I guess they are now. So. Any plans?
It's had a lot of support. It's pretty cool.
Any plans on making that bigger? I mean, obviously you want to, but is there anything that you've got on the horizon that you're thinking about doing with it?
No, I honestly don't know that I want it bigger. You know, that's been one of the things that I think a lot of people have always said is like, where does it go now? And I'm not sure the collective goes anywhere else. You know, I think it's always supposed to be the home for a couple $100, 10-minute short films from people you probably never heard of. I think any bigger than that just starts to come with a million problems. Like, I've had interest from a lot bigger, organizations and distributors and production companies, and it's just not that's just not what the collective is about. The collective is about, it'll always be $10, it'll always be 10 filmmakers, it'll always be someone you've never heard of, and it'll probably always sell whatever 500 or 1,000 copies that it ever sells.
You should make like the limited edition gold ones.
It stands really well in that place.
Make limited edition gold ones. Make like 10 and 10 each.
Around the idea.
That would be pretty badass.
Again, it's just that's what the collective's about. That's why there's not a limited edition. That's why they never go out of print. That's why they never. It was kind of intended to take the asshole out of independent horror. So doing all those things and doing a Blu-ray release of someone's $300 shirt, it makes us an asshole. And I don't want to do that. I really don't.
I can't see you taking the asshole out of it.
Stay exactly what it is.
You'll never take the asshole out of independent horror, buddy. You'll always be there.
I want each filmmaker to have to push it. Oh, well, yeah, I'll always be the official asshole of independent horror. I'm fine with that. But no, I really want those filmmakers to have to push it. I want that whole part of it. There's been filmmakers that have created the first logo of their entire life for the collective, because I say you have to have a logo and you have to have a tagline and you have to, and that kind of explaining to people what a synopsis is or how to write one for their film, that part of it kind of goes into it, that kind of makes the collective the cool thing it is. I think, if I get Adam Green or whatever, then it just becomes the ABCs of horror. That's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a guy who doesn't know what he's doing, so therefore he'll do some shit that you're not supposed to do, and that's what I love about it.
So it could be basically horribly bad or very horribly good, one way or the other. So.
Yeah, and they are. Like, you got to know that when you buy a collective. Like, people are going to take a chance, man. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, the first guy who put a strip of bacon on a donut had to be like, I don't know, dude. Sounds like it'd be awesome, right?
Let's try
and then
it.
You take a bite and you're like, fuck, that rules, dude. Right. So, you got to deal with that. And I think the collective there's 9 other movies. If you really hate one, well, there's 9 other ones. So I think it always has that redeeming quality that you'll find something. And that's why I pick the filmmakers I do, is I want to know that a silent film or some black and white crazy shit, like, I want to know that each person is going to do kind of their crazy angle on filming, so that when you get it as a finished product, you don't just get 10 movies of chicks with bikinis getting chased through the woods.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. How many? That brings up a question, actually.
No, there's stuff on.
Yeah. That brings me to a question. How many people do you get that want to do the collective that you say no?
Not that many. I'm pretty open to it. I mean, we've, had and lost alumni along the way, I think, but there's not a lot of people that I would just turn down. I mean, I'm fairly open with that. Like, I would take someone who, pisses a lot of people off or kind of is hated in the indie community or whatever like that. Can you make a 10-minute short and do you contribute to the scene? That's all I care about. Like what your content is or what you're going to do with it. I've had people, push the envelope as far as you can before of, patience with people, not only with like gore and sickness and stuff, but literally just patience. Like Snow Angel pushes the limits of mankind. Like it just does. It's like a Vietnamese water torture or something. It's horrible. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? Like I let people do what they want to do. So I don't know. I mean, I guess if you went on some big racist rant for no reason or whatever, we'd probably have a problem. But overall, that's the point of the collective.
Yeah, you want to stir up people's minds. Yeah. You don't want to just, bore them because obviously that's not going to get anything done. Speaking of not boring, I want to change gears a little bit. Go back to you, Nathan. You passed out a buttload of DVDs. What has the reception been on that? I will be honest, I have not sat down and watched it. I've been too busy, but I do have it. It's in the living room. Have you gotten any feedback on that, on your DVDs?
I've gotten a lot of feedback on it. A lot of people really dug them. Like, some people might not go to YouTube and check it out, but they'll, pop in a DVD. And it's the same 5 episodes that are on YouTube, plus a blooper reel that no one's seen before that's on that DVD. Nice. But I've gotten a lot of people, say, hey, I watched this DVD, I dig it, where can I find more of it? So that was the main reason I did it. I just want to expose myself to more people.
Okay, we're going to keep it there. No, I'm just kidding.
Aren't you glad this was a video chat?
It's your show. You can do what you want. That's one thing. I will tell you this much at FindustrialCon Network, just like a collective type deal, you can do what you want. But no, I'm just kidding. Do what you want. One thing I do want to tell you too. Wait, before I forget, one thing I do want to tell you too. When you're on your show, feel free to push the hell out of your show. That's one.
Trust me, I will.
I just want you to know we welcome it. Because we're not about you have to push this. You have to stay within these confines. Again, to go back to what we started this whole thing off. Is a bunch of friends having fun. When it stops being fun, I'm going to quit doing it. So I'm going to shut these servers off, and you guys go do it yourself. So, all right, sorry. Go back to what you're saying. Sorry.
No, what I was saying, what was cool is I also discovered as I was walking around with the DVDs, I'd be like, hey, here's my DVD. This is my YouTube show. Check it out. And they'd be like, oh, cool. I made a movie. Here, check my stuff out. And it was a great way to, people would be like, showing me what they do, and I'd be showing them what they do. It's that whole networking thing you were talking about, and it was a really cool, I completely did not foresee that using it as a networking tool. I just wanted to use it as the advertisement tool, but it worked out that way too, and it was really cool.
Right on. Have you? So I'm going to assume your hit counts have gone up pretty good, or?
Yes, they have. I've got the subscribers have definitely gone up.
Nice.
But we definitely can always use more. So go to it's YouTube, just search Son of Celluloid. It'll bring up all my interviews, the 5 episodes, whatever, and then subscribe to the channel. It's my name, Nathan Hamilton, and that way you'll find out every time I put something up. Next episode will be up next week. It'll have a bunch of footage from Days of the Dead Indie, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah, you scored some pretty sweet interviews in there. I'll give you that.
One of my favorite moments was just talking hearses with Doug Bradley.
Yeah, and of all things, that's the thing I forgot to do because I need to get with him about Chicago because we're having a Hearst show in Chicago, and since he brings Betty, I'm hoping that he will bring Betty to the show, and so yeah, that's a whole other story. But I kicked myself in the ass, and I realized it at like 5 o'clock on Sunday. I'm like, fuck, the one thing I needed to do, because I got a friend of mine. She's got multiple hearses. Man, she's got ones that just make mine look like a piece of junk. It is a piece of junk, but it really makes it look like a piece of junk. Just beautiful coaches. I look at him just like, and so yeah, that's one of the things. I definitely forgot to talk to him about. I'm going to try.
Really nice. He's got a really nice coach.
Oh, it's beautiful. It calls her Betty. I don't know if you mentioned that. Yeah, Betty. And I'm
yeah,
like,
he was all telling me about when they went and picked it up, and they were still picking flower petals out of the back of it from the last ceremony and everything. It was cool.
Nice. Yeah, and he is a hell of a nice guy. I've talked to him a couple times. About Betty before I got mine, yeah, he's just like, oh, I love driving it. He goes, that's the best thing. He goes, why fly? I can just float down the road, and people get the hell out of my way, which, it does happen, People see that in the rearview mirror, and they're just like, so it's real fun when I'm commuting.
I'll tell you, one of the coolest moments I got in any of the interviews was I interviewed Simon Bamford, the guy who was the Butterball Cenobite. And originally, Butterball had lines, but he couldn't say, they had to give them to the female Cenobite because he couldn't talk with the teeth. And so I got him to do it. I was like, what voice would you have used for Butterball? So we got to hear Butterball's voice for the first time in any interview because he said no one ever asked him that before. So I got the exclusive on that one.
Nice. And that brings another point up, too, like I was saying earlier about different, talents of people, interviewing and whatnot. A normal interviewer would not think of that question. Well,
it helps when you're interviewing someone you're a fan of, or someone from a film you're a fan of, because then you know what you're going to talk about. You're like, I've always wondered this, so I want to ask about that. And that's actually something that me and Brad talk about tomorrow on the first episode of Horror Business at 10 p.m.
What time? There you go. What time? Push it.
I come from the Mick Foley School of Self-Promotion.
Nobody's worse than Brad, man. Nobody's worse than Brad. You're fine. Brad was on one of our old shows, and yeah, it was like, I'll be here today. It's like, it got to the point it was such a running joke that I don't think anything else was said. It was just, Brad wasn't being introduced. He was one of the hosts, so.
Right.
All right, to cap everything off, we got some guests coming in. If you were paying attention to the beginning of the show, you would have heard. I'm not going to repeat them because it's not my guest, so if you missed it, tough. You'll have to wait or rewatch the video once it posts. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. Nathan's shows. We'll go ahead and pump those. Go ahead. Do it one more time, Nathan. Such you're good at it.
10 p.m. tomorrow night, Horror Business, the debut episode. I'm going to be talking podcasting with Brad Slate. I'm going to be talking about some adventures from the road on the way to Indy. It's going to be a good time, and the next week will be the debut of Missing Link Mixtape. And also, keep an eye over on the YouTube channel for more Son of Celluloid Madness over there, and I'll see you at 10 o'clock. That's 10 o'clock tomorrow night.
10 o'clock. And that is Eastern Standard Time, by the way. So,
yes.
Yeah, I'm the one who usually gets confused on that. Jason, I want to thank you for coming out. I also want to thank you for making some fucking bomb-ass tacos at the show. I did hear nothing but compliments on those. The only one thing somebody did suggest was hot sauces. So I said, they actually thought it was my taco stand for some reason. They're like, yeah, man, your tacos are great, but I would do this. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, hot sauce. That was a suggestion they gave me on my taco stand. So yeah, make sure to have them next time, buddy. Everybody in the chat room, thanks for showing up. Bill, I will get you your. Yeah, Bill, I will get you this back at some point in time. I mean, it is really nice, isn't it? It's really fucking cool. I was very disappointed when I found out I didn't get to keep it. Yeah, it says my name on it. If somebody hands you something, it signs your name. Wouldn't you think it's yours? So, and really, if I'm going to steal something, it's going to be a hell of a lot more than a Ouija board.
Possession is 9 cents of the law.
Possession? What? Ouija board possession? Ah!
Listen, dude, just ask it if it's yours. Just ask the Ouija, say, who do you belong to? And then
that's my name on it.
It'll just say Bill.
But Ouija told me it was mine. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Exactly, man. Sorry.
The Lord has spoken.
Right. Oh, by the way, did anybody see this? I did pick this up over the weekend. Did everybody see that nice guitar case in the background before my camera went dead? Let's wait for it to come back. And coming back. Come on. There it goes. Yeah, everybody see that over there? I did get that over the weekend. That was a gift from a friend of mine. It's actually signed by Mr. George Romero. So that I won't pay his outrageous prices. So I'm like, yeah, sweet. I got a Romero autograph. So that was really cool for her to give me. That was actually from Christina from Fisher Bodies, who did an absolutely excellent burlesque show. And if you missed it, go find it on YouTube. It is or on Facebook. It's been all over their page, our pages. Yeah, it's definitely worth the view. Yeah. It's worth the view. So, all right, thanks everybody for showing up. I will talk to you all later, and make sure to tune in Monday, and finally next Friday we'll get Hoover back in the groove so he can bring us a show, because obviously with the holidays and shows and everything, he's been slacking. So, this is Bill from Dusk Till Con, Nathan, and everybody else. We'll talk to you all later, and bye-bye.